There has to be a balance, and it's a very thin line between progress and tradition. And so it's a very thin line, and it's hard to walk on that line, but you gotta balance it.
Got clutter piling up? FM Junket in Carson, Iowa is your hometown cleanup crew. Fast hauling, fair prices, and now easy dumpster rentals for DIY cleanouts. Your single items to full-on messes, FM Junket gets it done. Call today and breathe a little easier. Prom season is coming fast, and Inspire Couture in Glenwood has the dress that feels like you. From sleek and modern to bold and unforgettable, every gown is handpicked to help you shine. Find your perfect fit, feel confident, and make prom night one to remember. Only at Inspire Couture. In Mills County and beyond, home is about people. And Ruby Realty is proud to be part of this community. Whether it's residential, commercial, their team brings local knowledge and genuine care to every step. Ruby Realty is rooted right here and serving neighbors just like you. Built in 1917 and once one of the oldest Ford dealerships in the country, the Ford building in Malvern has been fully remodeled into a modern multi-use space. It has apartments, business suites, and office space for rent. It blends big city style with the charm of small town living. A historic landmark ready for today's dreamers and doers. Hi, welcome back to Mills County Roots. I am here in the Mills County Courthouse in the Board of Supervisors boardroom with one of our county supervisors. I think perhaps the youngest county supervisor in history, and this is Jack Sayers. Hi, Jack.
Hi, Carlene. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for being here. So take these glasses off my head because there's... So Jack, I'm so glad you had time to sit down with me today. This is kind of a last-minute decision that we would sit down and talk. Today, anyway, we talked about it. But so tell me about you personally, your connection to Mills County, and what brought you to this point in your life.
Yeah. So I lived here my entire life.
Okay.
Born and raised in Malvern. Graduated from East Mills High School. This is my community. This is the community I love. The community's given me so much, made me into the man that I am. You know, obviously where we're from influences a lot in our lives, and I'd like to say that Malvern and Mills County as a whole influenced me in a positive way, so I wanted to give back as much as I could. So yeah, just love the community.
Yeah, that's wonderful, Jack. And so, do you have siblings?
I do have siblings.
Okay.
I actually have 5 siblings.
Wow.
So there's 6 of us kids. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That's good influence too. You learn to cooperate.
Oh, yeah.
You learn to throw your elbows when you need to.
Oh, yes, you do. Yes, you do.
So those are all leadership skills that you need, right?
Yeah, they are. They are.
Nice. So are they younger or older?
I got 3 older siblings and 2 younger siblings, and 1 full brother.
Okay.
2 stepsisters,
Okay.
1 half brother, and 1 half sister. So we're a blended family too.
You are a blended
come
family.
from all different, backgrounds and do different things.
Right.
And, we're all family, so we still love each other.
And all of that requires all kinds of skill sets to cooperate in that for your whole family. So, yeah, it's nice to know that about you. To know that you grew up in that unconventional, turned conventional, and looks like your parents did a pretty good job with all of that.
Oh, well, I like to think so, and so do they. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That sounds good. So when you left, when you graduated from high school, what happened then?
Well, when I graduated from high school, technically I graduated a semester early.
Okay.
Because my junior year of high school, I was a page in the Iowa House of Representatives. So it's a program specifically for juniors and seniors in Iowa to work in the legislature and get a basic understanding of government. So I decided that I was going to do that, did that my junior year, and then that following summer, I I was a page in the United States Senate. So I lived in D.C. for a few weeks and
Oh,
worked on the Senate
okay.
floor out there.
Okay.
And then decided, had a few representatives call me. They say they wanted me to be their clerk, but you couldn't be a clerk in the Iowa House unless you were graduated.
Okay.
So I had to graduate a semester early so I could be a clerk. So.
Wow. Okay. Well, let me ask you this because I have a personal concern about teaching civic responsibility to young people before they reach the age to really activate their civic responsibility and their voting rights and all that. So, what do you attribute your interest in government to? What made you want to become a page?
So actually, way back when, if you look at some family photo books, you'll see 2010, I was stuck in the back of a red wagon with my younger brother Ryan wearing Rod Roberts for Governor sign shirts. And Rod Roberts was my grandfather.
Okay,
So he was a state
okay.
representative, and then he ran for governor back in 2010. And I've just always been interested in government. And, you know, really, I think we all need to have a way to give back to our community. And kind of being in government and helping out and seeing things that most people don't care about. You know, I talk to my friends when they're back from college, when they're, you know, spring break, winter break, whatnot, and I tell them about what's happening in the county or the state or the federal government. Most of the time they don't care, but every once in a while, something comes up and they'll call me, Jack, are we at war? Jack, what's up with taxes? What's up with this? What's up with that? So,
And that's good, Jack. I really like that for you, for your friends. But I think the credit goes to your family here for teaching you civic responsibility, for getting you interested in it, for having those, probably having those supper table conversations about what's going on in the county and how you can affect that. And isn't it, and giving back to the community. You're not just born with the desire to give back to your community, right? You learn that, and you're taught those values throughout your life. So a lot of this would be a family issue, to be taught in the family, right? That's the one thing I love about Mills County. It's very family oriented. There are a lot of families here that I've been meeting and getting to know that are very oriented toward community involvement. Some people, you know, they say that rural Iowa towns suffer from a brain drain. And meaning that people go away and they go to college and then they don't want to come back. But then they start to have a family, and then it's like, oh, I want to raise my family there. And so then they come back, and I'm always so thrilled to see people come back to these communities and bring what they've learned and bring it into, because that's so much of our progression. But at the same time, those families that are what I call the cornerstones of the county, who have been here multiple generations, have maintained those values and maintained the basics and the foundation to give us the opportunity when young people go away, learn, come back. And honestly, Mills County is very active in getting involved in the teaching as well, as far as what we're doing with the school systems and what we're doing with the Switch organization out east. And I got to go out there this morning, Jack. It's amazing.
Love Switch.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing what's going on out there, and it is addressing gaps between laborer and CEO. It's addressing those gaps. You know, it's really cool. I'm anxious to go out there and visit with her and do an interview with Katie, because that's really amazing what's going on. And you know, I learned there's a transition school there. I forget what she called it, but when kids are having a hard time understanding, why do I have to go to school? Why do I have to be at school? And it feels like an obligation. They get to go out there and they get to learn why. They get to see the next steps, and they get to get involved, and they get to explore their talents and their gifts, and then figure out why school's important, you know. And I just think that's amazing that right here in Mills County, Iowa, we're addressing those gaps and catching those kids who might in other situations fall through the cracks, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, wow, I've got off on a tangent
No,
there
it's
for a
okay.
minute, didn't I?
Switch is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's truly fantastic.
Education,
Yeah.
you know, because that came up because we were talking about education regarding civic responsibility. So, yeah. Well, do you mind me asking, how old are you, Jack?
Well, just a few weeks ago, I turned 20.
Oh,
so I'm now
okay.
officially 20. I'm no longer the teenage supervisor. So
Okay,
I got that going for me.
Okay,
so,
okay.
Yep.
Well, but you were voted in at 19?
18.
18.
18
Okay.
years old.
Okay, wow, that's quite an accomplishment.
Thank you.
Quite
Thank
an
you.
accomplishment.
Lot of work. You know, a lot of work to
Sure.
not just be in office, but to actually campaign.
Oh, I bet.
You know,
I bet.
I ran against 2 incumbents, and you know, people, you know, going back to what you said, those established county names. You know, these were established county names, and
Sure.
you know, I got out there and door knocked and
Yeah.
ate as many fundraisers as I could, but you know, it all paid off in the end, and now I'm
Wonderful.
here and able to help people.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, and you were just involved in a fundraiser that we went to over in Henderson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The annual Testicle Festival.
The annual nut fry, yep, run by the fire department. On the fire department, I
Yeah.
didn't really necessarily think that part of my duties was to slice 300 pounds of
those?
pig. Yeah. So, but you know, it's a good fundraiser for the community. So
300 pounds.
300 pounds we sliced.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. And well, and the slicer is actually. Back in the day, Henderson, Strand, Emerson, and Hastings all had their own schools. And so the slicer that we have is actually out of the Henderson school.
Oh, my.
Which has been gone for
Yeah.
decades now.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it was a good task.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I bet. Oh, is it dull?
Yeah.
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 Well, you'll have to get that blade off there and sharpen it and knock the rust off of it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know whoever came up with the idea to eat that, but it's surprisingly,
Not so bad.
it's not bad.
Not bad at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not bad. I had eaten some when I was a child. My grandfather was a Shriner, and they did that at the Shrine Club once
Yep.
a year too. So yeah, I had had that before, but not since I was a child, and that's been a couple years ago.
Just a few years.
Right. Oh gosh, so how exciting for you to start your young adulthood like this. So and what great lessons for you to learn during this and learn so much about not only county politics but community, what makes communities thrive, and though you know from conversations at the kitchen table, now you've got a little responsibility on your shoulders for that.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
So when you were campaigning to get voted in, what exactly was your platform? What was important to you?
Well, probably out of the 3 supervisors, I've been called the fiscal hawk at Mills County. So I keep an eye on the budget quite
Okay.
heavily. So tax
Okay.
policy is what I'm mainly interested in.
Okay.
Want to make sure that Mills County has services that people need to live here, but we also want to make sure it is affordable for people to live here.
Exactly.
And, you know, we're kind of getting to that point where it's no longer affordable. 53rd most populous county, and the top 1/3 for property taxes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, let me pick a bone with you because
yes.
my property taxes went up.
So did mine. So, yeah. No, it's hard to balance those 2 things, but you know, at a certain point, we have to realize the services are great. You know, they're fantastic services that we have in Mills County. But if people can't afford to live here, maybe we need to rethink how we're doing things. Not necessarily cutting services, but just rethink how we're delivering services.
Let's talk about the services that are paid for by Mills County tax dollars. Let's just kind of go over those for a minute because we're in an optimum opportunity right here for someone who's watching this to learn a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean, there's more services than people understand.
Right.
You know, we got many different departments. You got your 911 dispatch. You got your emergency management that helps coordinates when we had a flood, like in 2019. You got the sheriff's office. You got secondary roads. We got 450 miles of county roads in Mills County. 450 miles. That's a lot of roads.
That's a lot of road.
And when you add in that a mile of concrete to pave a road is $1 million, that's a lot of money. So that's a big department. About a third of our taxes go to secondary roads, so
Okay.
quite a large chunk. You got planning and zoning for building permits in our ordinances. You got public health. You got the VA. You got conservation. So there's just a whole bunch of things
Sure.
that happen in Mills County. Maybe not people use the services every day, like VA or public health or treasurer's office for photo ID, driver's license, but you want to make sure that your roads are pretty maintained well and paved and don't have potholes and things like that in them. And obviously we have a lot of gravel roads. We live in a rural county. That's going to happen.
Sure.
You want to make sure your sheriff's office has enough staff to keep the community safe at all times of day.
Right.
Up until when I became a supervisor, most people don't like admitting it, but with such a large county that we have, all the way from PJ to Henderson, which is a mile from Montgomery and Potawatomi County border, we only had one sheriff's deputy on at night.
Wow.
We only had one deputy on at night. And that's a wide swath of area to keep safe. So, people count on these services.
And you know what? In those cases, people start taking the law into their own hands.
yes. And rural,
to protect their property.
Yes. In rural America, you have to in some instances.
Exactly. That's right.
You want to make sure that you can count on the police, but you got to have a backup.
Yeah.
You got to have a backup.
Exactly. So what's that look like now, Jack? The deputies.
The deputies. So last year we were able to kind of back it up. There are 4 services that I think need to be well funded, that need to be well maintained: secondary roads, emergency management, 911 dispatch, and the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
Other things could probably be reconsidered, but those 4 need to have a strong foundation. And so last year we were able to give the sheriff's office another deputy, and so now you see at least 2 deputies on at night.
Sure.
So it's a lot safer. And also, my brother used to be a deputy, my older brother.
Okay.
He had a call one time to go up to entertainment facility on I-29, and shots rang out.
Oh, he was by himself?
There was no other deputy on. So there was no backup, so you had to call GPD or try and get somebody to come off and go onto a shift. But, it's a lot safer for not only the public, but for the deputies themselves to have somebody who's going to be there for them.
Sure. They got to have backup. Yeah.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. Well, I like what you stand for. I would add one more thing to that because I am an advocate for veterans.
Yep.
So I would say that Veterans Affairs is really important, and Mills County is, I think, #1 in the state for veteran services. So
we are.
Yeah,
we are.
And that is attributed to how the county supports that office.
Yes, they are.
But it is also attributed to the ladies that work in that office, and they are phenomenal in veteran services and filing federal claims, and so that's working well here. For other counties in the state of Iowa, what would you say from your vantage point? And I'm surely you work with the commissioners, the supervisors work with the veterans commissioners. So what would you say would be something that you could tell other counties about why it's working so well right here in Mills County?
For our Veterans Affairs
Office.
Veteran Services. Well, quite frankly, one of the biggest things that we have is, since we're right next to Offutt Air Force Base, we're right across the river from Offutt Air Force Base, so we have a larger population of veterans than most counties in the state of Iowa.
Do you know what the percentage is here?
I have to remember, I think it's 2,000 or 3,000 veterans. I mean, we got a large chunk of veterans.
Out of 15,000 in the
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good percentage. I know when I did this in Fremont County for 5 years, and Iowa in general was higher than the national average. So the national average is 10% across the board, and we went anywhere in the counties that I was looking at from 10 to 13%. So but Mills County does a lot of claims that are coming out of other counties that they're probably not even
Yeah.
getting the credit for.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know like Fremont County, for instance, state law, the mandatory minimum for a Veterans Affairs office for a county is one part-time person. And so in Fremont County, they got one part-time person.
Right.
You go across rural Iowa, that's what you see mainly. You see one part-time person. Mills County, we believe in our veterans. We have a large veteran population. We want them to be served, so we have 2 full-time and 1 part-time.
Yes,
staff
there's the
members.
difference right there.
A large difference.
And that is county supported.
County supported.
Yes, because
Yeah.
I know that the state allocates an amount for each, $10,000 for each
Yep.
county. But yeah, the fact that you employ 2 full-time and 1 part-time person there, and your part-time person could be full-time because
Oh, yeah.
she is an expert in pensions.
Yeah, Lori works very hard
Yes.
at what she does.
Yes. Yeah, and Elizabeth and Christine are very good. But
Yeah.
but that is a testament to the county, and thank you for supporting that. I hope you continue to support that because 1 part-time person in Fremont County is not enough. It causes burnout.
I agree with that. Yeah.
It causes burnout, and you can't get done in 20 hours a week what needs to be done.
Yeah.
And when I did it, I worked more than 20 hours a week and didn't sleep at night over it. So when you're dealing with these things, you need that county support.
Yep.
You do need that county support. Got clutter piling up? FM Junket in Carson, Iowa is your hometown cleanup crew. Fast hauling, fair prices, and now easy dumpster rentals for DIY cleanouts. Your single items to full-on messes, FM Junket gets it done. Call today and breathe a little easier. Prom season is coming fast, and Inspire Couture in Glenwood has the dress that feels like you. From sleek and modern to bold and unforgettable, every gown is handpicked to help you shine. Find your perfect fit, feel confident, and make prom night one to remember. Only at Inspire Couture. In Mills County and beyond, home is about people. And Ruby Realty is proud to be part of this community. Whether it's residential, commercial, their team brings local knowledge and genuine care to every step. Ruby Realty is rooted right here and serving neighbors just like you. Built in 1917 and once one of the oldest Ford dealerships in the country, the Ford building in Malvern has been fully remodeled into a modern, multi-use space. It has apartments, business suites, and office space for rent. It blends big city style with the charm of small town living. A historic landmark ready for today's dreamers and doers. Anyway, so thank you for talking about that. That's a drum I'll beat till the end of my time. Anyway, yeah, and I think the other 4 things that you mentioned are just imperative.
Yeah.
You know, it's imperative, and so what do you think about business and industry and economic development?
Yeah. Well, I think economic development is vital to a community. You know, I think, I'm sure we'll talk about this more, but there has to be a balance, and it's a very thin line between progress and tradition, right? There's progress that brings us into the future, and then there's tradition, the values that got us to where we are today.
Yes.
And so it's a very thin line, and it's hard to walk on that line, but you gotta balance it. Economic development as a whole, most people don't know, but residential properties are taxed at 50% of their valuation. So if I have a house that's $400,000, I'm only getting taxed at the $200,000. But industrial tax classification is completely different. So if you got $1 million classification, you're taxed at that $1 million. So kind of the key to long-term property tax relief would be industrial development. But I'm pretty conservative when it comes to fiscal matters. And personally, I think it's going to be a little bit difficult to get a large industrial employer to come into a region like ours, specifically here in Mills County, not even just the state of Iowa. State of Iowa is having a hard time with actual employees. But when you come into Mills County and we have a top 1/3 of property taxes in the state of Iowa, it's a little bit hard to bring people in. So I think that's part of the reason why we're having some difficulties. And you
Okay.
know, there's a lot of states that don't have property taxes at all.
Okay.
And they're seeing a big boom. So,
Well, talk a little bit about TIF and how that's an incentive for buildings for businesses to come into town. Do you deal much in that, or is that more a state level?
oh, we do TIF a lot, and you know, mainly what we do it now. And TIF, for those people who don't know, tax increment financing, and so it's basically just, I guess the best way to say it is some of those core things that you had to put in, like roads, water, sewer. It can get TIFed, and then that money from your taxes will go back and pay off that TIF. So technically, like, you have to build up a lot of these things up front. Over time, your money will come back to you. So like a TIF right now, there were TIFs that were put in a few years ago for like subdivisions. So a subdivision will get built, and then a road will be the TIF project. So then the taxes for a certain amount of years will go back to the builder, so that that road gets paid for that they built for that subdivision.
Yeah.
So TIF is a really good incentive that we have in here in Iowa. So is tax abatement. You know, we can abate the taxes for however many years, up to 20 years. Bungie was abated up to 20 years.
Okay.
But it's still that balance of, you know, when when industrial employers, they have a history of looking at our property taxes, looking at what it is over time. You know, they're not looking at necessarily what it is right now. They're going to look at the 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
And so even if they do get TIF, they want to make sure that it's going to be sustainable in the long run after the TIF and after the abatement is gone.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for explaining that and laying that
you
out.
probably know, but
Yeah,
you know, a lot
well-
of people don't know. So
Well, I don't know a lot of the details about it, but it's interesting to me how that works, and that could incentivize businesses to come.
Yes, it could.
Because it delays, parlays that big chunk
yeah,
right away, and then, you know, they're either coming into an existing building or facility, or they have to build too. You know, so yeah. But yeah, so that's the challenge then. The economic development challenge is in incentivizing those businesses or industries to come into the area.
yeah. Well, I mean, there's over 4,000 counties in the country, and so all 4,000 of them, you know, we have conferences through the National Association of Counties, and every single one of us, if there's something that's some presentation about economic development, industrial development, we're all going to be in there. So we're all competing, and
Sure.
a lot of the counties have the exact same tools as us. So it's a hard battle. It's a
Yeah.
long process. It's not easy. It's not overnight, but I think we're working our way there.
Yeah, I think too. Let's break down those 4 areas, and let's talk about the success in all of those 4 areas that our taxpayers are paying for here. Let's start with the sheriff's office, for example. The crime rate is low in Mills County, less than 1%.
Yeah, it's extremely low.
Extremely low,
And it shouldn't be that low.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that low, because a big thing that we have going on in Mills County, and some people don't necessarily understand it, and that's okay. You know, they'll look at the population of Page County, and then they'll see less deputies than ours, and they'll say, well, why is that? Why is that? Well, a big reason is because of I-29. So we get a lot of things and a lot of crimes that get ran up I-29.
Sure.
And our sheriff's office is well enough to maintain it. So, I mean, sheriff's office is phenomenal.
Yeah, it is. They're doing a phenomenal job.
They got a good sheriff.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. I had a nice interview with him. So if you want to scroll back and look at the interview with the sheriff, he got more views than any so far. There were 11,000 views, over 11,000 views on there already. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's a great human and a great law enforcement officer and leader.
Yeah.
So now then, let's talk about the roads. The roads aren't too bad in Mills County.
Roads aren't too bad.
Right?
Roads aren't too bad, and of course, it's, you know, one of the major complaints I hear. You know, you got your two, it's your roads and your property taxes. Those are the two. You know, but they kind of go hand in hand, because roads have to be paid for, and that's their property taxes.
Right,
but you know, I understand people's concerns. But 450 miles of county roads have over that, and we have a really phenomenal county engineer. Really like Jacob. Historically, haven't agreed with him on everything, but he's a great guy. He runs the office well. You go down and ask the graders what they think of him, or the foreman what they think of him, and they tell you that he's a jewel. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Good to work for.
Okay.
And Jacob's done a fantastic job. I think Jacob really spreads out the projects around the county. You know, that's another concern that a lot of people have. You know, I could say last year, done work on different culverts on the west side of the county, PJ, Barris, 221st Street, and then last year, Brothers Avenue into Henderson. That hadn't got done for a long time. So the road that you just rode in was very nice, because up until, if you would have drove it a year ago, it had so many humps on it. There was actually an incident because, you know, you could say it's because of the humps. So, I mean, that was able to get done. Doing a road project this summer south of Malvern. So he's really good at spreading it out. In addition to that, his budget this year, he cut out, I believe, $300,000.
Wow.
And the $300,000 was efficiencies.
Yeah.
Things he found that he could be more efficient at. So he does a good job. I think our secondary roads is run very well.
Good to know. Good to know that those people in those positions are working efficiently and being responsible with taxpayer money.
Yeah. Well, that's what it's all about. We're all public servants. We got to be responsible. It's not our money.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not ours.
So what was the other one we talked about?
Emergency management.
Emergency management.
Emergency management.
Yes.
Yep.
And they've been tested.
They have been.
They've been tested with the floods and tornadoes, derecho over the past 5-6 years.
Yeah.
It's been hailstorms. We had in Malvern, we had baseball size, softball size hail in 23, and then we had another hailstorm in 24, which was enough to tear up those new roofs that were placed in the year before.
My dad replaced his roof twice that year, so trust me.
Matter
I know.
of fact, we've had so many incidences here that many insurance companies are pulling out of Iowa. In general.
And Des Moines is supposed to be the insurance capital of America.
Wow.
That's what Des Moines is kind of known for. They got large insurance companies there, but they're pulling out. It's too bad. Something needs to be done about that.
It is. I agree with that. Another day.
Another day.
Yeah. And so emergency management has been tested and has done a really good job.
They have. Well, and once again, it all comes down to the leadership. We got Travis Hitchcock. Not only is he really good at his job and he has experience with this job specifically in other places, but he's also a veteran, and he had emergency management experience when he served in the military. So Travis is a great guy. I hear nothing but good things about Travis. And not only does he the head of emergency management, he's also the head of 911 dispatch, which is the fourth thing.
Wow.
Travis does an excellent job in running both of those. So.
And then in the community, all of our emergency services, fire and EMS, are volunteer.
Yeah.
There's not a paid squad around, is there?
Glenwood has paid EMS, but vast majority of it is volunteers. So, I mean, vast majority of even Glenwood is volunteers.
Yeah.
So, but obviously we have the bond issue for EMS this November. Making EMS an essential service. A lot of people don't understand, but fire departments get money from can't remember off the top of my head right now. Long story short, it's townships. Fire departments give money to townships. I got a little confused there. Fire departments give money to townships. Townships don't really give money to EMS. Cities can give money to EMS, but they can't give that much. County can't give any money to EMS. So we're in a predicament right now where fire departments have funding, they have avenues of funding, but EMS really doesn't. And with that, we also have the big problem of the county is ever evolving. So I just saw a plat from Malvern from about 100 years ago, and it had roughly 12 large industrial places to work. So people historically have always worked in Mills County and lived in Mills County,
Okay.
but now we're kind of moving towards a bedroom community.
Sure.
So my mom, for instance, is an EMT on the Malvern EMS,
Okay.
but she works in Omaha.
Oh.
So if a call comes out during the day,
Right.
who's going to answer it? Well, it's two people. Two people have been doing this since the 1970s.
Right. I heard they both tried to retire a couple of times.
Yes, yeah. And see, that's a concern because I'm in Henderson. My closest EMS was Macedonia, just north of the Potawatomi County line. Macedonia, they had two volunteers. Two volunteers one day said, we can't do it anymore. We're going to retire.
Yeah.
What happened? Macedonia doesn't have EMS anymore.
Wow.
So now Henderson gets covered by Silver City and Oak Township. They got to come all the way over there. So, Silver City has like the vast majority of northern Mills County. So our EMS is getting stretched thinner and thinner.
Yeah, exactly. Well, how'd we do on the fundraiser, circling back to the Testicle Festival?
Oh, pretty good. I never gotten a sure dollar amount, but I know we got well over 475 people.
Wonderful.
So I mean that's pretty big.
Yeah, and it was kind of a free will
Yeah.
free will offering for the, and some people are just so graciously generous.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. So that's wonderful. Well, Jack, you have given some deep explanation of what goes on in the county and what a county supervisor does. So thank you. When I think about, I think I'd love to see us have 5 supervisors because I think you spread out, more ideas and you spread out vote. And I'm just going to be honest with you. When I heard we had a 19-year-old supervisor, I thought, now there's 3 supervisors, and one of those older supervisors could be pretty influential if they really, they could really be like a dog on a bone and maybe influence you. But you're pretty strong-willed, and I think I trust you to make your own decisions.
A lot of votes that happen in the county courthouse. Some people ask me, how do we know how you voted? How do we know how Richard voted? How do we know how Lonnie voted? Most of the controversial things are on KMA or in the Opinion Tribune or in the Malvern Leader. All of our minutes have to be in the Opinion Tribune or the Malvern Leader, and all of our minutes and agendas are online. And when you look through those, a lot of times what you're going to see 2-to-1 votes.
Oh.
So actually a lot of times I am the odd duck out. But I vote what I think is right. So,
Good for you.
I try not to let other people influence me.
Good for you. Yeah, it's obvious that you have a strong mind, and I feel like you want to do what's right for the communities. So thank you, Jack, and thank you for sitting with us here on Mills County Roots. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow.